It's a homecoming decades in the making. A World War II service member finally returning home to his hometown of Bloomfield, Nebraska. Channel 8 Eyewitness News reporter Kennedy Stowwater reports.
The morning of December 7th, 1941, Joseph Mall's life was taken too soon at the age of 18. His ship, the USS Oklahoma, was bombed at Pearl Harbor.
Hand salute! My grandfather that signed the papers that allowed my uncle to go into the Navy at 17 years old. So my grandfather had always felt partially responsible for my uncle being in Pearl Harbor.
For those that are able, please rise for the rendering of military honors.
For the past 78 years, Mall was listed on the wall at Pearl Harbor as MIA when his body was not identified after the day that will live in infamy. In 2015, the Department of Defense started to exhume remains from the USS Oklahoma.
The Navy then contacted our family and requested a DNA sample. Our relative Judy Drobny Taylor, Jane Matter, and my father Joseph Keith Mall all submitted DNA that allowed allowed the Navy to identify those bones.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
In September of 2018, he was identified as Joseph Keith Mall of Bloomfield, Nebraska, a town just north of Norfolk, and getting his remains back to his hometown was set in motion. All of his siblings and parents have passed, but his many nieces, nephews, and cousins flew to the small northeast Nebraska town.
Of course, we got the word out from everybody in my family, and we all wanted to be there. And by the way, many of us are here.
Military honors were provided at the Bloomfield Cemetery by the United States Navy Funeral Honors Detail, Veterans Foreign War Post, and the American Legion.
It's a pretty patriotic area we live in, as you can well see, and we're well represented. If you look at all the flags of people that have died in wars, we're well represented.
It was a very special day here in Bloomfield, Nebraska, like nothing most of these people had ever seen before. Their family was very excited to get closure and to celebrate his life.
They say that no one really dies unless their memory dies. So it's my job as a father now, my sister's job, and my cousin's jobs who have their new children to help them and pass those stories on. It's as old as time.
Reporting in Bloomfield, Nebraska, Kennedy Stowwater, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.